Look closer at the skin of Jane Doe, and you'll realize this isn't just an autopsy, it's an excavation of a living curse. These aren't random scars, they are precise Levite incantations carved into her very anatomy. Today, we decode the 17th century witchcraft symbols that turn a corpse into a supernatural weapon. Chapter 1: The Interior Canvas of a Living Curse. The Autopsy of Jane Doe is a singular masterpiece in the world of horror movies. Body horror is subverted as the initial shock we have from viewing a naked corpse soon dissipates and she becomes nothing more than a mere object. The obscene sight of her autopsy even becomes something mundane as we learn her body is nothing more than parchment for ritualistic scripture. As we dig deeper into the symbolic meanings, we can clearly see that Jane Doe's eyes have turned gray. Once opening her mouth, we discover it is absent of her tongue. This alone creates an atmosphere for horror to flourish, but diving into the folklore, we learn these atrocities were committed as part of a binding ritual, transforming this corpse into an instrument of agony. Jane is forever trapped and bound to this body. Her only purpose is to internalize hate and pain and to transfer that hate and pain for eternity. Removing her tongue and eyesight is the sensory deprivation required for this spell to take effect. Just like how bacteria can lay dormant for countless years or how some animals hibernate for an extended amount of time, the same can be said about Jane's body and the curse that lies inside of it. Her body is not a miracle of modern medicine. She is not preserved like the mummies of old. No, her body is in stasis. She harbors the curse like an ancient bacterial plague, waiting to be unleashed. Chapter 2: Deciphering the Leviticus 20:27 inscription. Once the autopsy begins, Tommy and Austin discover writing on the inside of her skin. It is determined that the text refers to a Bible passage. To be specific, the text refers to Leviticus 20:27. Let's examine what this ancient text has to say. A man or woman who is a medium or necromancer shall surely be put to death. They shall be stoned with stones, their blood shall be upon them. When we dissect this inscription, we can infer that anyone who communicates with the dead, no matter the sex, that person shall be punished and eventually stoned to death. The last part of the text explains their blood shall be upon them, putting the blame solely on the one who communicates with the dead. Put in simple words, it is describing the punishment that should be brought forth upon witches. One of the most interesting plot points in this movie is the witch's touch. As Tommy and Austin begin the autopsy process, they unknowingly complete the circuit. They unlock the curse that lies dormant in Jane. Now she is able to touch back, transferring her pain and agony to the two coroners just doing their job. Now we have a better understanding of the strange markings and symbols held within Jane's body. We will see how her imprisonment was set in motion centuries earlier. How the Levite incantations serve as a structural cage that traps Jane's spirit within her own on-decaying flesh. Now it is time to connect the dots and discover the historical trauma that will tie all the folklore together. Chapter 3: The Salem Connection and Historical Trauma. Here's where the truth of the matter comes into focus. Not only did her body contain the previously mentioned Bible verse, but also Roman numerals. When we examine the numerals, we learn they translate to the number 1693. Putting all the evidence together, we now get a clearer picture. As this picture comes into focus, we discover Jane was part of the Salem witch trials, hence the ritualistic torture, the biblical references, and the witch connection. But it is also at this point we begin to realize Jane was innocent. She was no witch. But due to the historical atmosphere and religious fear-mongering of the time, she was branded a witch and trapped in a spiritual purgatory, bound eternally, waiting to spread a curse unjustly put upon her. As we discussed earlier, the two medical examiners unknowingly completed the circuit. The irony of all this is the fact that Tommy and Austin activated the curse through the scientific process of an autopsy. This touch test is all it took. They themselves had nothing to do with Jane's original torture. Nothing to do with cursing her, yet without their involvement, the evolution of this curse could have stayed buried, it could have stayed hidden. Though heavily fictionized for Hollywood, folk magic has been used for centuries by the more marginalized in society to fight back. Or at least the magic gave them the power to think they were. Folk magic was used for everything from resource management to the use of herbs. unlocking ancestral knowledge, addressing one's health, and even predicting weather events as it pertained to agricultural needs. Chapter 4: The Anatomy of a Supernatural Weapon. The witch's touch, the touch test, the autopsy, all names for the same thing. The thing needed to transform Jane from a passive victim to a radioactive supernatural phenomenon. This first takes place within the morgue. All the strange paranormal activity that takes place in the setting now has an explanation. This movie foreshadows things to come. As Tommy explains, bells were used in olden times to let morgue workers know if a person was actually dead or just unconscious. Tied to the ankle of a body, if it sounded, it let the workers know that person was still alive. A dead ringer saved by the bell, if you will. However, when we hear Jane's bell begin to ring out, we know this is no joking matter. In essence, this is a biological alarm, notifying to the coroners that Jane is not in fact dead, but her physical seal has been breached, and now the curse is upon them. Next, we take a look at the symbolism of the Jimson weed found in Jane's stomach. Jimson weed is a paralyzing agent strongly associated with the Salem witch trials and the folklore of New England. This is a scientifically grounded, yet supernatural indicator that Jane was in fact part of the witch trials. Jimson weed is tied to that area, and it was used to paralyze Jane but keep her conscious and mobile for the ritualistic torture she had to endure. This underscores the supernatural transformation Jane takes from victim to vessel for evil, creating a bridge between life and death. Chapter 5: The Transference of Agony. One of the final revelations we get is the fact that Jane's survival depends on the constant, violent transferences of her internal trauma to those who find her. This curse has a recursive nature. It repeats itself indefinitely. The autopsy itself completed the ritual begun by executioners centuries ago. The Autopsy of Jane Doe brings to life what might possibly be the strongest curse known to mankind. The body remains a static vessel of revenge, ready to reset and begin anew for the next unsuspecting examiner. Thank you for exploring the wild folklore behind this modern horror classic with me. This movie has so much tension and dread, all brought on by a corpse. Once we dug a little deeper, we found the hidden meaning behind this movie and shed some light on its true horror. This is Planet Phobia signing off, and as always, wishing you good luck on your horror journey.